Welcome in to Angelo's Tennis, and I want to talk about this Iva Jovic player that I just saw play at this WTA or Women's Tennis Challenger event, because definitely very much impressed by her. And buckle your seatbelts, because this might be a little bit long and in depth, but not too in depth. First thing I want to go over is if you haven't watched her play, I have some court level videos that I just dropped, and there'll be much more coming up on my channel. I want to go through some of the reasons why this player is going to be in the top 100, or at least break into the top 100 at some point for a brief period. I don't know what her ranking is now. I think it'll be this year or next year, and then that'll be it. You'll see what she's going to do this year, next year, and then after that, who knows? And so yeah, let me just go through what some of these things are. She plays what I call the tennis map. And I talk about this extensively on my channel and all my previous videos, which I will continue. She plays the tennis map, and she does it very well. I don't know if which I'm going to get more into this, if she's learned it from someone else, or if it's just something she's done intuitively by playing matches and just expressing her personality, her style of play, etc. So there's that. She pays attention to detail. I saw her wiping the lines. And this is important. And by the way, this isn't an extensive list. I'm not going to go through everything. I'm just going to pick some things out that I like. She pays attention to detail. I saw her wiping off the spots on the serve, particularly on the serve. When the serve would go out, she'd wipe the spot off. She wiped the mark off to make sure that the umpires were going to get it right. Very interesting. I think that's an interesting thing. I don't know if I would do that all the time, but certainly coming up, I'm going to make sure I'm going to do everything I can. Even if it's a simple thing like that might make a big difference later in the match. She plays, this is a big one, the tennis map combined with this, which playing the tennis map actually encourages this. This trains. This is how, I say this all the time, this is how you train this. Playing flat or flatter and penetrating. Flatter and penetrating. And even on clay, this idea of spin, and it's the use of the spin only when the situation is appropriate. That's what she does. It's not that she doesn't use spin. It's not that she doesn't play with spin. It's the use. Against all different players, and it can be done on clay. It doesn't matter if it's a slow court. You still have to do it. And this also goes along with she holds the baseline. She plays on the bit, kind of like, we see Sinner doing this. She stays as close to the baseline as possible, and oftentimes inside the baseline. That doesn't mean that she's always on the baseline or inside, but she has a very good gauge for when to move back, if she needs to, slightly, not, to play defense. It's not that you move. It's not that she moves back and stays back. It's moves back appropriately at the appropriate time and then sneaks back in to start pushing. Always pushing forward. Always pushing forward. Trying to get to the net. Looking for a winner. Looking for that spot on the tennis map that when she hits that spot, the point's going to be over. It's not that I'm going to hit really hard and powerful and just really just trying to hit hard to a spot. It's all these things combined that are going to give that flatter, penetrating feel to the other player. Let's see. She rarely runs around the backhand. This is another thing. Guys will do this, but for women, she rarely runs around the backhand. And I am 100% in agreement with this for particularly for women's tennis, but not just, for people out there watching, if you're not, if you're just a player and you enjoy getting better and playing tennis and trying different things. I'm not a big fan of running around the backhand. As I said, particularly for most of us, it just doesn't make sense, especially when you're playing this style. If you want to play this style of holding the baseline, playing more penetrating, flatter, using the tennis map, using the targets appropriately, it just doesn't make sense to run. Again, as I say, she rarely runs around the backhand because you can play that backhand, particularly from the middle of the court where you would run around it. You can play it flat inside out. To the two side targets, the deep one and the short one. You can play, again, obviously cross court to the deep in the side one on the right side, and then you have the middle one. And oftentimes, honestly, the backhand isn't, if I could say for myself and for probably a lot of these women, the backhand isn't a weakness. The backhand isn't, the forehand isn't preferred over the backhand. It's the same. It's literally the same. Particularly when we're talking about situational tennis. She plays the game. She's a player. It might not look like that, which a lot of stuff that I'm talking about could be like what you're seeing, the result of all this, but fundamentally she's a player. And what I mean by that is she's anticipatory. And I'll put a video up here on the screen and show her excellent anticipatory skills. That's being a player, a gamer, someone who enjoys playing games, understands how to play a game, like hitting the ball back and forth in a space. She goes for the lines. And she doesn't go for the lines all the time. But again, when the situation calls for it, it's the right time, etc., she goes for the lines. Now, I want to get into something that might be a little bit more controversial, and that is the coaches. And I noticed that she had a physio with her, and she also had a coach. And immediately I started questioning just the way I do. Like, okay, how does she have a physio? She has a coach. She's not even anybody yet. She hasn't made any real money. And then I'm like, oh, okay. I looked him up, and it makes perfect sense. He coached, the coach that was with her had coached CC Bellis and a number of other USTA projects. And then I instantly knew that she's a USTA, and I had not known this before. She's a USTA player. She's and what I don't know all the details. I'm just kind of going off the cuff here. What I think that means is that the USTA picked her up a long time ago. They are funding her to a certain degree. They're paying for these coaches. She certainly isn't paying for them out of her own pocket. Again, I don't know that for sure. I'm just guessing. To have these people traveling with her. And then I looked in a little bit deeper, and she was also coached by another coach, which I'm not going to mention their names. You can find them out if you want to research them. Another coach who who would have trained her, it seems, or at least worked with her since 12 years old. So she's been a USTA project for a long time. And when you hear these people speak, specifically the former one, you hear them, here's the thing, they never speak about what I'm talking about. They never talk about these detail-oriented, real reasons why the player is what she is. And this is quite frustrating from my standpoint because I want to hear the truth. I want to hear the real reasons why she is the player that she is. The reasons that are mentioned in this book that I talk about. And it makes me think of a couple things. One, these coaches that are working for the USTA are buying these kids, and that's just the upfront truth of the matter. They are finding the kids that are winning. So, for example, I don't know exactly. I know I'm bad. I'm not so great with the details when it comes myself because I just don't like doing this. But looking at, did she win? She probably won 14s nationals, probably won or 12s nationals or 14s nationals, and then obviously, or someone saw her and said, okay, she's better than everyone else. Let's get her. And then she joins. Obviously she's going to join because everything's paid for. And then what these guys are doing is they are just going through the basics. Basics meaning the shots, forehand, work on the forehand, work on the backhand. They're not really doing anything. They're just, she's got the it factor. And so the player is actually doing everything that I'm mentioning on her own. Who knows where she got it from? You could just call it inborn genius. Just having these qualities inborn or being labeled as a genius or a talented player. All these labels that people give them. That's the first thing that comes to mind. And that's also disturbing too because the onlooker always sees these guys as being, they're the reason. That's the reason. No, they're not. That's not the reason. And I'm saying that as a coach who studies tennis. I've never seen them talk about it. I've never seen them do a presentation in a conference on it. So I'm wondering, and this is my second point, that maybe they are the reason. Maybe they did the first part, they did pick them up, and then they did do these things that I'm talking about. They did focus on them, and they're not telling anyone. They're not advertising it as something that they do. They're just kind of going through the basic selling points. We work on... It's just the things I think I heard them say something like, we worked on... the things that no one works on, like the drop shot, coming to the net early on, because we know later on it's going to pay off. Like that kind of BS that everyone likes to hear, that, they're working on the stuff that the players don't want to work on because later on it's going to pay off. Has nothing to do. It's like this has nothing to do with what's actually happening. First of all, she could do all those things already since she's like 7. It's like, you're working on these things? What do you mean? As I said, this is inborn. It doesn't matter if she doesn't do it in a match. She doesn't do it in a match because she doesn't have to. So you ask her to do it on a dime, she's going to do it. And she's going to make it. You could easily tell that by watching her play. As I said, she's a gamer. So there's that. And I will drop this name, Rick Macy, because he's like super famous. And I don't feel bad at all dropping his name. Like I said, the other guys might not be aware of any of this. And that's just their place in life. I don't really have any personal problems with him. But Rick Macy is this is the one who's known for it. He coached Serena Williams. Never. And because here's the thing. Rick Macy he's published all kinds of stuff. And there's people that go down there and that film the lessons. And you never seen anything out of the ordinary. Anything that I've mentioned, it's just all this, like the serve it's like the common stuff that you see. So, with Rick Macy and, say, Serena Williams, I never saw him ever present anything that was relative to what was really making Serena Williams successful. At least not a lot of it. So these are the annoying things, the frustrating things that... and maybe you could say it's frustrating to me because I'm a nobody. But not even just from a tennis purist. It's like I said, I want to hear the truth. I want to know why. players are actually having success. And I'll just finish up this video with, I'm not seeing that from these coaches at all. And I'll get more into that in future videos. So stay tuned. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.